Scott Bessent, the current Treasury Secretary of the United States, when he was part of George Soros' hedge fund, they preyed on the Asian currencies. At that time, they led attack against the Hong Kong dollar. George Soros Fund lost a lot of money when they lost the bet. And I think that's something that they never truly forgave China for after all these years. Hello, my friends. I'm Carl Zha, and you're watching the Silk and Steel podcast, where I focus everything on China, history, culture, and politics.
China launching the CIPS, the China cross-border interbank payment system, the equivalency of now, the one thing that sort of caught my attention was two things: how fast it goes and the cost in comparison to SWIFT. For the SWIFT, it takes about 3 days to clear, but the cost is high. For the CIPS, it's faster within few seconds, if not within few minutes, if not seconds, and the cost is very, very low. How do you see this moving forward in reshaping the global financial system, in your opinion?
This is kind of like just like U.S. and China in general. I mean, like U.S., there's a lot of legacy ways, in U.S. that has been the norm, established norm, but it's so entrenched. Everybody uses, but you have to put up with it. But even though it's really slow, and China has been able to leapfrog by adopting latest technology and actually innovate. And so this is the story that's rolled across all sectors, not just terms of finances. I think the Chinese system has a lot of potential to grow. Because the de-dollarization trend is going to continue. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to continue because especially what Trump is doing, it's really accelerating the trend. And now, as we see, dollar and U.S. Treasury is no longer the last resort. It's no longer the last haven to store your wealth. So while China is not ready to replace the U.S. dollar as you have Chinese Yuan to replace dollar as a reserve currency yet, for many reasons. One is that means that China would have to give up the capital control. This is an area I don't think Chinese government is now willing to concede at this moment because there's a lot of apprehension after especially the 1997-1998 Asian financial crisis. That's when the U.S. capital, particularly by people like Scott Bessent, the current Treasury Secretary of the United States, when he was part of George Soros' hedge fund, they preyed on the Asian currencies. At that time, they led attack against the Hong Kong dollar. Right, because the Bessent was the one who famously raided the Bank of England, right, and broke the pound sterling. He tried to replicate that in Hong Kong because at that time Hong Kong was just handed over to China. There's a lot of political uncertainty, and it was in the midst of the Asian financial crisis. So Bison and just George Soros found they thought it was. Hong Kong dollar was ripe for the taking, but they kind of underestimate the fact that Hong Kong just had a new landlord, and China didn't want the stability of Hong Kong to be harmed in any way. And so in the end, China told the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, you got to stop this attack. And George Soros Fund lost a lot of money when they lost the bet. And I think that's something that they never truly forgave China for after all these years, because this is something they bet big and they lost because Scott Bison, from my understanding, he's very ideological. He is the one who thought, okay, there's no way authoritarian government, communist government will win against democracies, right? Like even though he had very little understanding of the Chinese market or how the Chinese economy works, he's just been an ideological guy that he was convinced, there's no way the Chinese economy should succeed. So right now we I think the key point I'm trying to driving at is the ASEAN will be fine, even with actors like Philippines, because Philippines is kind of outlier at this point. And China had plenty of experiences dealing with like financial predators like the Wall Street types. And so this is one reason China is not ready to give up capital control and which is basically the only thing stopping Yuan from becoming to replace dollar as a world reserve currency right now is because China don't want to. China don't want that to happen because also make Yuan to become world reserve currency means you are going to export Yuan to the rest of the world, and then what happens when you export money? You are getting you had to import goods, so you are going to have to accept a trade deficit against the rest of the world, and that's a predicament United States is in right now because the U.S. dollar is the world's reserve currency. U.S. have to accept a trade deficit against the rest of the world because the United States is essentially exporting dollars and receiving manufactured goods, and this is a system that Trump administration is trying to change, but they don't actually understand how that works. Unfortunately, their solution is worsening the problem, and because Trump still want to keep the U.S. dollar status as a world reserve currency. You have people like Marco Rubio publicly said, we have to defend the dollar, right? And defending the dollar hegemony, and it means you have to accept trade deficit. There's no way around it because essentially you're exporting dollar. And what that means, you have to buy goods, right? So this is what China. This is not where China wants to be. This is why, but because China is the world's largest economy, and because like now people are just rather directly dealing with China, the RMB or yuan will be increasingly important trading currency. So this is why CIS has a great future ahead of it, because this was exemplified during the Ukraine war. When Russia was kicked out of the SWIFT system, and that means anybody can kick out of the SWIFT system. So I think CIS will grow in importance in the coming years. It doesn't mean that the dollar is going to lose its status as the world reserve currency, but it just means that yuan will be increasingly more important as a trading currency. This is because just for the simple fact that China is the world's largest trading nation, and as people in the United States found out on TikTok videos, all these luxury brands that have been buying, essentially they're still buying made in China goods that would just got slapped with a Louis Vuitton sticker.
Your Chanel cosmetics, 80% are made in China and cost only $5. They just add the logo in France and charge you 10 to 40 times the price. Close your eyes. If your Chanel cosmetics says made in China, will it feel cheaper? It's not about quality, it's about brand washing. Interesting fact, who makes Chanel cosmetics? 42% are crafted by Chinese artisans. We don't do cheap goods, we do understand luxury.
You know who is producing high quality accessories for those luxury brands like Chanel, Estee Lauder, L'Oreal?
You're saying you're the supplier behind all these beauty accessories for those big luxury brands? L'Oreal, MAC, Chanel, Bobbi Brown, and even Rosewood Hotel.
Last week we also received an order, Royce Den. Yeah, the comb like 20,000
Like
pieces,
like
color.
Wholesalers, it's 2024 and you still don't know who are the suppliers behind Dior? Their knitwears and cardigans are from Beyond Garments from Hangzhou. Beyond Garments is also the supplier behind many luxury brands from America and Europe like Sandra, Maj, and Versace. Second, most of the Dior's cosmetic products are actually produced by Taiho Group, which is also the supplier behind Lancome and Loewe. Third, 24-hour packaging technology from Shenzhen provide exquisite packaging and bags for Dior. Of course, Dior has their own factories in many countries, supplies different products for them.
Right?
And being charged so much.
People are just you are all buy made in China goods, but when you pay extra, you're just paying for the brand and the marketing premium. And that's what people like need to understand. And so anyway, so right now, what Trump is doing is he's destroying the brand name of United States. It's destroying the whole brand name and the marketing that has been built up over the last couple hundred years. And now, what's left? What is left?
Indeed. Well, I do believe, Carl, that also for China, thinking strategically, this is why I use the term strategic defeat in the title, because my thinking is that China's thinking long term, and the SIPs will be one of those sort of pathways by which now, because the move, in my opinion, by the Chinese for this one here, it's as clear as daylight. It's its desire sort of to reduce the reliance on the US dominated financial system. And it makes more sense. And not only is going to do that, but it also is going to strengthen some sort of China's own financial dealings, and even, if I may use the term, influence within the region. This is why I'm saying ASEAN, it's going to be the economic bloc where everything's going to have to go through. That's becoming clear to me, and this is why.
Hello, my friends. I'm Carl Zha, and you're watching Silk and Steel podcast. Leave your comments below on what you think about this content and what would you like to see more on my channel. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.